Whether you're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or just winding down, we are here to spill the hottest tea from your favorite Bravo shows. From the wildest reunions to the quietest social media unfollows, we cover it all. So welcome back to Reality TV Podcast, and click subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it on 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we have a massive amount of research in front of us today, and it feels like there's this common thread running through everything. It's like a war over territory.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
We've got new stars trying to push out the old guard, assistants carving out their own space, and, production just trying to keep it all together.
Exactly. And I think the best place to start is right on the front lines of that battle. The feud between Palm Beach and New York City.
Right. This is Taja Abbott-Ball from Members Only, Palm Beach, and of course, RHONY alum Jill Zarin.
It's such a textbook case. It's the new streaming reality star versus the, cable legacy icon.
So Taja is coming out of the gate just swinging. She's claiming Jill tried to, and this is her word, weasel her way onto the new Netflix show behind her back. That's the key part of her claim. That Jill should have just asked her directly, since they knew each other.
But then she takes it a step further. She basically dismisses the entire idea of the New York housewives, specifically calling out Jill and Ramona Singer.
And she uses some really pointed language.
She calls them has-beens, said they're done.
And that phrasing, has-beens, that's not an accident. That is a calculated move. Taja is trying to position her show as the replacement, not just a new option.
It's a power play.
A classic power play, kill the king to wear the crown. She's elevating her own relevance by framing them as relics.
But does that story even hold up? Because Jill Zarin has a completely different version of events.
A completely different version.
Jill says she didn't try to weasel her way in at all. She says a producer actually came to her because they needed some established names to anchor the cast.
Which makes a lot of sense from a production standpoint.
Right. And Jill says she turned them down. She was like, I've been a star for 20 years. I don't need to fight newcomers for screen time.
And that's the core of the conflict, Taja says, you're desperate for my show. And Jill says, I am the institution. I don't need your show.
Jill also threw some cold water on their supposed friendship.
Yeah, that was a key detail. Taja made it sound like they were longtime friends, but Jill said they met briefly at a house party once.
It really feels like Taja is just trying to manufacture a rivalry to get some headlines. But here's the part that I find a little confusing.
Okay.
She's trashing the New York women, but then she praises the New Jersey cast. She talks about knowing Dolores and Margaret Josephs. And apparently Margaret told her the Palm Beach show is what housewives should be, because Jersey is too heavy now, so why align with Jersey but trash New York?
I think it's about picking the winning horse. Right now, the Jersey cast is still active. They're still powerful. The original New York cast has been, rebooted.
So she's aligning with the active power players.
Exactly, to validate her own status. And at the same time, she kicks the retired legends to show she isn't afraid of them. It's less personal, more about branding.
Speaking of branding and looking back, let's pivot to someone who's doing a major retrospective on her own career. Lisa Rinna.
Oh, this was the most fascinating part of the research for me.
She is opening up about her time on Beverly Hills in a huge way. Sobriety, casting, toxicity.
Let's start with the sobriety part, because this is wild. Lisa revealed that for her first 5 years in the show, she didn't drink any alcohol.
5 years in an environment that basically runs on wine and tequila. How is that even possible? And why?
It was a strategy. She said it was advice from her husband, Harry Hamlin. He told her she was going into that world. She absolutely had to keep her wits about her.
Wow. He treated it like an acting role.
A dangerous acting role, yeah.
Yeah.
Which completely reframes those early seasons for me.
Yeah.
Like when she's smashing the glass in Amsterdam or having those huge fights, she was completely sober.
She was operating with total clarity while everyone else was maybe a little buzzed.
Precisely. It suggests a level of calculation, maybe even performance, that we didn't fully appreciate at the time. She treated it like a job, not a party.
She also had some really strong opinions on casting, specifically about Teddy Mellencamp.
Yeah, she was not a fan of that choice.
Lisa admitted she thought Teddy was too young to join. She said you need to have lived enough life, be in your 40s, 50s, or 60s to really thrive in that format.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that. You need a certain thickness of skin that comes with experience. You've gone through a divorce or financial issues or career changes.
You've built up resilience.
Exactly. Lisa's argument is that if you're too young, you just can't handle that kind of pressure.
And speaking of pressure, She's also got a book coming out where she alleges Bravo fosters a toxic workplace.
She's sort of pivoting from villain to whistleblower. She admits the show thrives on women competing and tearing each other down.
And she takes some accountability, right?
Yeah.
She said she fed into it for the adrenaline rush.
She did. But now she's looking back and calling it super messed up.
Yeah.
But she did offer one really practical piece of advice from her time on the show.
From the Erica Jane situation.
Yes. Watching Erica's financial collapse was a huge wake-up call for her. Her message is that financial independence is non-negotiable. You have to know where your money is.
It's a solid life lesson, for sure. And financial independence is a perfect bridge to our next topic because we have a wealthy woman who seems to be having some staff issues.
Ah, yes, the great mystery.
We finally have a working theory on why Sutton Stracke fired her assistant, Avi.
And after all the speculation, all the dark theories, the reports suggest it was something much more mundane, almost about hospitality standards.
Okay, so break it down for us. What's the allegation?
The claim is that Sutton let Vanita Aspen from Southern Charm stay at her place in New York City.
Okay.
But when Vanita got there, the apartment wasn't prepped. It wasn't up to Sutton's standards. Maybe it wasn't cleaned properly. The fridge wasn't stocked, something like that.
And Sutton was embarrassed and blamed Avi for it.
That was apparently the catalyst for him leaving.
So he got fired for bad housekeeping management. I mean, that feels a little anticlimactic. On the show, people were hinting he was going to spill dirt on her.
And that's where you have to separate the TV narrative from the legal reality. Sutton pushed back on those blackmail rumors, saying it didn't sound like Avi at all.
But the fact that Avi hasn't said a word tells you everything.
It tells you one thing for certain. There is a very strict NDA in place, a non-disclosure agreement.
Which doesn't automatically mean there's some huge secret, right? It's just standard for people with that much money.
It's absolutely standard. It's about privacy. You don't want your assistant tweeting about what you ate for breakfast. It just creates a legal wall of silence.
An invisible wall. But I love that Vanita Aspen is the, accidental cause of all this.
Yeah.
It just shows how small that Bravo universe really
It
is.
was incredibly small. And speaking of small circles, let's jump right into Southern Charm, where the dating pool seems to be about 5 people just swapping partners.
Okay, so we're talking about the new cast member, Charlie Manley, Craig Conover, and Sally Carson.
It's a classic love triangle. Or a geometry problem, really. Charlie is addressing the tension because Sally apparently warned her off of Craig.
But Charlie had a pretty logical take on that.
A very pragmatic take. She pointed out that Sally admitted to liking Craig, but she also said she had feelings for Austin Kroll.
So Charlie's view was, you didn't call dibs, you liked 2 guys, so Craig was fair game for a date.
Exactly. And she seemed pretty underwhelmed by the date itself. She said Craig was handsome, loved his house.
Especially the backyard and the hot tub.
Right, but she wasn't, swooning. She wasn't forcing a fairy tale, which was refreshing.
What really stood out to me, though, was her reason for not dating Shep Rose.
Oh, this was brutal.
Shep has spent a decade building this brand as the charming, eternal bachelor. And Charlie just looked at him and said,
You remind me of my father.
the dad vibe. That has to be the most devastating thing you can say to Shep.
It is the death knell for that archetype. When a younger cast member looks at the cool older guy and just sees cringe or dad energy, the power dynamic just flips instantly. His whole shtick is expiring.
It's that legacy versus new theme again. The old tricks just don't work anymore. Charlie also had a really sharp take on Craig and Austin's friendship.
She called it volatile, which is, an understatement. She noticed how Craig goes from calling Austin his best friend to his enemy in, the same breath.
And as a newcomer, she's seeing these decade-long patterns that they're too deep in to even notice.
Absolutely. Speaking of overwhelming dysfunction, we have to talk about the Ultimate Girls Trip 20th anniversary season.
That cast list alone is intimidating. You have Vicky Gunvalson, Giselle Bryant, Luan, Teresa Giudice, Lisa Barlow.
It is a fantasy draft of alpha personalities. And the reports coming out of filming are concerning, even for Kyle Richards.
And if Kyle is saying it's too much, that's a huge red flag. She's a pro. She described an 80s themed party as a lot and openly wondered how she'd survive the whole shoot.
The problem there is what you could call hierarchy collapse. In their own cities, each of these women is the queen bee.
Right. Teresa rules Jersey. Luan is the countess.
But when you put 5 queens in one house, nobody knows who's supposed to bow to whom. Kyle said the weird dynamics between the franchises are creating a new kind of conflict The rules of Beverly Hills just don't apply to the women from Jersey.
And Portia Williams made that crystal clear on her social media.
Oh yeah, that was a warning shot.
She posted a caption saying, "Before you mess with me, remember you call people to handle things. People call me to handle things. We are not the same."
That is a pure power statement.
Mhm.
She's positioning herself not as a player in the game, but as an enforcer. It implies this trip went beyond petty drama into, like, real dominance games.
I want to pivot back to that staff perspective for a minute because we have an update from the Vanderpump Rules world about Ann Maddox.
Yes, Tom Sandoval's former assistant, who then went to work for Ariana Maddox.
It's such a great look into the, gig economy side of all this.
Yeah.
She isn't rich, she's just trying to pay her rent. And she had this amazing analogy for working for Tom and Ariana.
The translator analogy, it was perfect.
She said it was like translating for her divorced parents. Her mom spoke Japanese, her dad spoke English, and she grew up as the go-between for their arguments.
She said she was literally trained from birth to be the buffer between Tom and Ariana. It's hilarious, but also so sad.
Totally. But the real update is about why she left Ariana's sandwich shop, something about her. And it wasn't drama.
No, it was purely financial. The shop's opening was delayed because of permits.
And permits don't pay the rent.
Exactly.
Right.
Anne said she was doing temp tasks, like setting up security systems, but she needed a full-time paycheck. It's a good dose of reality. Behind the scandals, people are just trying to survive bureaucracy.
It's a very sobering reality check. Okay, let's go from sobering to just scorched earth. We need to get into Salt Lake City.
Oh boy, the fallout between Brittany Bateman and Meredith Marks, this has gone nuclear.
This isn't about, you didn't invite me to your party. Meredith accused Brittany of supporting a bigot. That is a heavy, heavy accusation in today's world.
It's a fundamental attack on someone's character.
And Brittany's claim is that this was a premeditated hit. She says she didn't know the person's history, and she denounced them as soon as she found out.
But her main issue is that she says they already dealt with this off camera. She claims they apologized, they moved on. So for Meredith to bring it back up on the show,
She feels like Meredith broke the fourth wall just to hurt her.
that's what she's saying. It's the weaponization of reality. You resolve something in private, but then you bring it up on camera to publicly damage someone's reputation for a storyline.
And now Brittany has played her final card, the refusal to film.
It's the ultimate ultimatum. She said she will never accept an apology and will not be in Meredith's presence again.
Which creates a nightmare for production. You can't have an ensemble show if the cast won't be in the same room. The network has to choose a side.
He means that bridge is burned. It's beyond repair.
So we've covered people fighting for territory, for reputation, for rent money. But let's zoom all the way out to the master of controlling the narrative, Kim Kardashian.
The final boss.
She's looking back at the early 2000s and finally admitting to things we all kind of suspected.
The fake it till you make it era. She flat out admitted she used to stage paparazzi photos. She and Khloe would call them up and pretend to be just out and about.
But the story about Britney Spears is the absolute peak of that culture.
This story is incredible. She said she and her friend Jonathan heard Britney was at a hotel in New York, so they borrowed a phantom Rolls Royce, whatever that is.
Right, sounds very mysterious. And they just drove up to the hotel. The Paps went crazy asking if they were there to see Britney.
And they just walked in and hid in a phone booth.
For 20 minutes.
20 minutes. They didn't know Britney. They didn't see Britney. They just hid in the lobby and then walked out so the photographers would think they'd hung out with her.
It's pure smoke and mirrors. She literally called it scamming the system.
And look at the evolution. She went from faking it in a phone booth to building a global empire. And now she's teaching that exact skill set to her daughter, North.
The brand building classes.
Yes. She revealed North is homeschooled and part of the curriculum is brand building.
Which is actually kind of genius. She said they do shopping trip math. They go to a store, budget the trip, look at profit margins. It's practical application.
It's training for the specific life Northwest is going to lead. She doesn't need to write a resume. She needs to know how to leverage a brand. It's a perfect full circle moment.
It really does tie everything we've talked about together, doesn't it? We started with Taja trying to manufacture a brand. We had Lisa Rinna staying sober to control her narrative. Sutton's assistant signing NDAs to protect an image.
And that's really the takeaway. We call this reality TV. But every single story we discussed is about curation. It's about people trying to craft a version of the truth that pays the most money.
Whether you're hiding in a phone booth or refusing to film with an enemy, it is all about controlling the lens.
Exactly. It makes you wonder how much is real and how much is just brand building in disguise.
So here's the question we want to leave you with. In a landscape dominated by NDAs, staged interactions, and brand-building curriculums, do we ever actually see reality? Or are we just watching the version of the truth that the cast knows how to monetize best?
It's a question worth asking every time you hit play.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving in with us. We will catch you next time.